Okay, so some drawing materials. Keeping it simple. So one of the things you can draw with that we have in the workshop is watercolor pencils. A particular brand. This is a Stadler Lumocolor 108-9, I think, and it's just a. You can use other watercolor pencils. You could use watercolors, but for good simple results, a watercolor pencil works great. You can get a nice variety of marks, and you can get that nice lightly drawn through to dark tone and reduce it when it prints. Um, One of the nice things about maybe drawing with pencil is you can obviously maybe prepare some plates and take them with you outdoors or to your life drawing class or some other situation. One important thing to do is to not actually touch the plate with your hand, or sneeze on it for that matter, or get it contaminated. So putting a bit of tissue underneath your hand as you draw, and or wearing a glove, I suppose, something like that, or using a stick to support your hand would be wise. So that way you won't get some unwanted marks when it comes to printing. So yeah, I am obviously drawing a fantastic masterpiece here, but you could take your time and draw a very subtle drawing, or you could be doing something more gestural and immediate. So there I go, drawing like a drawer. Also, I'm left-handed, and we are seeing this as we did the lettering in reverse. So anyway, there we go, watercolor pencils. And as well as drawing directly, you can erase to a certain extent. So you would maybe want to use some water and a tissue paper, perhaps fold it up into a sort of point, and use it to take away drawing material. And you want to be quite thorough about that. I mean, you could take away the drawing material and perhaps think that the drawing was deleted, but if you do it again and look at the tissue, you'll see that the tissue's still got some drawing pencil material coming back. So you want to do it until the tissue is clean. I think with this process you want to be quite direct and immediate and not think too much about working the image in terms of deletions. You want to make quite strong mark making. There you go, it's a nice clean plate, and the drawing is on it. There's other materials we're going to cover. I don't know if I actually made a video, but you could use also permanent markers are good if you're doing sort of line work and the likes. Then permanent markers are what you would use in terms of pens. You can use other materials for drawing, and there's some quite good books that I'll put in the reading list for this that you could have a look at, and it covers people that have done some research. I'm keeping it simple because in these simple demonstrations, that's really what I wanted to do, just give you a couple of drawing materials to follow through with. There we go. So I'm going to create a few plates that when it comes to the printing demo, I'll be able to print one on top of the other, and that's a way that you can maybe think about printing. So this segment is about making transfers from laserjet prints, which you would be able to get yourself from the library. Laserjet is using toner, which is bonded to the plate, to the paper as it goes through the rollers of the printer with heat. But you can release that toner from the paper with some acetone. So doing it by hand like this, you can rub the back of a bit of paper with the toner or the laserjet printer on it, and it will release it to the plate in a sort of punky way, a nice sort of rough and handmade look to it. And this is great for all sorts of text or photographic imagery that you might want to use. Because of the kind of process it is, initially you'd be looking at making imagery that was quite graphic, or nothing too grayscale. You want to be thinking in terms of black and white. So something like this has given me a nice painterly sort of feel from the original images. But if I wanted to get a better, better kind of release of the toner from the paper, then I would be putting it through the press. So this technique is a nice, simple way. When you are wanting to do this, you want to have everything prepared and be at the press with your cleaned plate and a nice bit of paper here, printing paper that you'll find under the press or somewhere like that. And I'm going to use some acetone to sort of soak up the printing paper, so it's impregnated with acetone. And I'm just wanting to use enough to nicely sort of soak the paper. And then I'm going to go over there somewhere because I forgot to get a cloth or a tissue to wipe off the excess. So I should have had that with me. So once I've wiped off the excess, I can place it on to the top of the laserjet prints, which are in position, ready to roll. And then I'm going to get my newsprint and an extra bit of board for packing out the plate, so we get a good amount of pressure. Pull the blankets down. We'll do a sort of section on how to use the different presses and talk about them as well. Anyway, so there we go. I'm just going to press the buttons and make it move. It's an automatic powered press. Fantastic press, this. The Clydesdale press it's called, and it's been a workhorse for a long time, never missed a beat. So it comes out the other side, and I want to work quite quickly here and just make sure that everything is done in good time, that there's no hanging about. So I'm going to roll the blankets back and kind of pull them over the top of the press, take off the packing, and take off the newsprint, and take off the bit of paper. And so you can see that the transfer print is cleaner and sharper and better in that respect than it is by doing it by hand, which has got a nice smeary, painterly kind of quality to it. So that's good, quite happy with that. And I missed out a wee bit, so I'm just going to do a final blotting with the acetone. Now I could draw onto the plate here with a watercolour pencil or a permanent marker. I like to try and keep them separate, so I wouldn't go over this again with another transfer, but that's the kind of thing you want to do, is keep it simple and graphic and immediate. That's a nice painterly smudgy bit there, kind of thing I like. What else am I going to do? Oh yeah, I think I was going to think about making deletions, and again I'm using a bit of acetone on the tissue and just wiping into the plate to take away or disrupt or change the image in that respect, and yeah, smudging away with that, making my little bit of art, I think. And again, I would be wanting to make sure that those areas have been cleaned again, probably, because although it looks like they've been deleted, there's still going to be a small amount of drawing material or toner in there, and I just want to make sure that I've cleaned it out so I get a bit more of a graphic white, I suppose, or a cleaner printing when it comes to the printing. Just using tissue paper for this, and always putting the acetone onto the tissue paper, and I'm just drying off the areas here. A clean bit just to make sure that I've cleaned out that area for the effect or the drawing marks that I want to make. So that's good. At this stage, the plate is looking quite good to my eyes, and I'm happy with that. I've got a plate that I am happy with. So the final drawing material we're going to talk about is toner, which is what is on a laserjet printer. But this toner we've reclaimed from a cartridge from a laserjet printer, and it's just a black dust that we've mixed with with water, and it's become a sort of nice paste. So it's able to be painted on. You can use different size brushes, and you can make quite a dark mark with it. Here I'm putting it on in a thick sort of way. Not thick, but in a dark way. But if I use more water, I can make it much more, how do they say it? You can make reticulated washes, which is like in traditional lithography, you have a material called touche wash, and you get these lovely reticulated washes, like when a puddle dries out and leaves ring marks behind it, then the toner will do that as it dries and disperses on the plate. So it's a great material. I can see from my drawing here that my plate hasn't been actually very well properly cleaned because the toner's sort of drawing back from some sort of greasiness on the plate or something. Oops, my bad. Anyway, I don't mind it. It looks quite good. We'll see what happens when it comes to print. The toner's just a watery solution, and it's going to have to dry, and then we're going to bond it to the plate with heat. So until it's bonded to the plate, you're able to move it around or wipe it away or add more on. It's the kind of thing, again, you want to make not too many over drawings. You know, once you've got the drawing like you want it, then you're able to sort of think that's good, and then set it with heat, which we'll do in a minute. But after it's been set with heat, you could draw across it with pencils or I suppose, or pens, but you don't really want to do more toner work on top, as you'll probably end up with a much darker print than you would want. So I'm trying to get some light into the darks and get a balance, I suppose. There we go. So it's fun stuff, and the more you play with it, the more satisfying it would be. You'll need to bring your own brushes for this, and you'd be looking for nice clean brushes, not ones that you've used for oil paintings or anything else actually. A nice new set of brushes. Yeah. So when it comes to setting, you want this to have dried naturally. It's good if it has, and at the moment you can see that the toner's still soft and loose on the plate. It's all going to be moving about like that. It's quite nice to draw through it. You could make drawings with toner on your fingers. You could wipe it on with a cloth as well with a brush. Several students have done experiments with that. But now that it's ready to be set, we're going to use a heat gun. This is quite a tool to use, and what you're going to have to do is get nice and close to the plate, about a centimetre away, and methodically go over the whole plate, and it'll set the toner, which is a tiny plastic particle, and it's going to sort of melt it to the plate. But when it melts, it doesn't spread out, it sits down onto the plate, so you get all that nice detail. And you can see the sort of the redness of the heat underneath it, and you want to keep that heat moving along. It's not once it's been set, it's set, and you need to keep it consistent, and the point of the heat gun, just like I say, about a centimetre from the plate, and cover all the drawing materials. I don't know if you can see, but the tone of the toner's changing from a sort of matte black to a sort of darker, shinier black. So that's a really good sign that it's properly set. So that plastic and that hot air and the metal which is heating up is just bonding the drawing to the plate, setting it. So if you don't do this bit properly, the next part, where we're going to make some silicon and smear it all over the plate and polish it down, well, that would wipe it away, and at that point there's nothing you'll be able to do to correct it. So you really want to be thorough and methodical with the heat gun, and make sure that the whole thing's been set. There's an area for this to be done. It's on top of a metal sort of movable bench, and there's a particular place for the heat gun, a holster where it lives, so that you're not setting the hot air gun tip onto its cable, for instance. So it's a tool that you've got to be careful with, and make sure that you don't burn yourself. Okay, plate's a bit hot. You want to give it a minute to cool down. And you'll be able to check it if you really want with your finger to make sure it's not moving about. It's all good.